Okay, everyone, a very good morning and thank you for joining us for our very first YouTube live session in a long time. My name is Nishan and I am from the University of Reading, Malaysia. And of course, we are here, guys. Right, so we are here to discuss a very interesting topic, career pathway that is much sought after today and has been a very popular and old profession, one of the oldest professional professions in the world, and that is in law or the legal profession. And to discuss this topic today, to explain in detail about the professional pathways that are available and how students which are aspiring to become lawyers in the future can actually prepare themselves and what are the right pathways to choose or what they can expect when they are students here with University of Reading Malaysia. And to discuss these details, of course, we have our very own renowned academic, which is the head of the law school, as well as an academic and the head of, or the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning, Associate Professor Anne Vergis. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Nishan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Awesome. So just to give a little insight to the viewers, Associate Professor Anne Vergis is the head of the law school, and she's also one of our academics and has been here with Reading for the past 6 years. So she brings with her a wealth of experience, having had a taste of both worlds, having been a lawyer as well as now being an academic. So she is here to give you much insight onto what you can expect in that profession. So to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, I will begin by giving you a little bit of insight onto the University of Reading, Malaysia, and we will just go on a little bit about the history of the university as well as what options are available. So let me just jump onto my slides. There we go, guys. So to begin with, the University of Reading is an established and pretty old UK university whereby we have actually been around since 1892. The history of the university, of course, began in 1892 when we were an extension college, or we were established as an extension college of Oxford University. And in 1926, we received the charter to operate as an independent university. So ever since then, we have been delivering a range of programs. In fact, we've been delivering over 200 different degree programs and postgraduate programs, and we've had the privilege of producing hundreds of thousands of graduates in these respective fields and disciplines. Of course, the adventure of the University of Reading, Malaysia began in 2013 actually, but we had our official launching ceremony in 2016. And since then, we've been delivering a portfolio of world-class programs here in Malaysia campus. So this is a map of the UK, as you can see. Reading is indeed very close to London. It's about a 25 to 30-minute train ride from London, and the campus in Reading is actually a big green campus. It is spacious. It has been voted as one of the top green spaces in the UK and is currently home to about 18,000 students from over 150 different countries. And also, as I mentioned earlier, the university offers about 200 programs from the UK campus, and of course, 8 programs here in Malaysia campus. So as you can see, these are just some of the shots of the UK campus. It is a good mix of both traditional architecture as well as modern architecture, and it is a very beautiful campus, as you can see here. And of course, Reading, Malaysia is located in the southern state of Johor, which is very close to Singapore, actually. So right down there, as you can see where the star is, and we are a much smaller campus. We are about 40 minutes away from Changi International Airport in Singapore, and we are also pretty close to Senai International Airport here in Johor Bahru. At current moment, the university has a very small community of about 640 students, ranging from 10 different nationalities as well. The majority of them are Malaysians, and we do offer 8 different programs here, from the foundation leading up to the degree programs. So these are some shots of our Malaysia campus. As you can see, it is a very modern building, pretty spacious, and also well equipped with all the respective facilities that are needed to ensure that the students have a very good and conducive learning experience. So over here, as you can see, these are the list of offerings here in Malaysia campus, where we have the 4 business programs from Henley Business School. We've got the psychology program from the School of Psychology and Clinical Language Sciences. We've got the School of Built Environment offering the Bachelor of Quantity Surveying. And then, of course, we've got the School of Law offering the Bachelor of Laws degree program. And that will be the topic of discussion in just a bit. So yes, the law program is what we will be looking at, and Professor Anne will be presenting to you in detail about that. So let me just stop my screen sharing, and I will jump on to the slides. And there we go. So Anne, all over to you.
Thank you very much, Nishan. Hello, everyone, once again. All right. We've come onto the series of the Passport to Success series, and the topic for discussion today is about building a career, a legal career, or a legal plus business career, all right, with a law degree. Now, of course, the typical question that we would ask is, why study law? You know, and that's the 100-year-old question that we're going to explore, right? Should we continue studying law? Should law degree be one of the main degrees that people actually pursue, right? And obtaining a law degree, what else can you do, right? And how successful can you be? And how relevant is that going to be in the future? All right, so that's where these are the things that we're going to look at. Just to give you a brief overview, right, so this is for today's topic. We're going to explore, right, basically what a law program comprises, what the requirements are, what are the traits that are required for a student to actually pursue a law degree, the process of becoming a lawyer, briefly a little bit the life of a lawyer, different types of lawyers, or these alternate careers that a law graduate can actually get, and what's the future of law as a career, and where do we move forward, you know, exploring into IR 4.0, right, in the world where AI is supposed to come and take over, right? Where do we stand, right? And then what's the role of lawyers in society? That's where we're going to look at. Nishan, can I have control of the slides, please? Okay, now a typical question that we always ask is, should we study law? And a comment that I always get, right, is, oh, there are so, you know, my family tells me there are so many lawyers out there, you know, and if someone says, oh, my child's doing a law, and the reaction they get is, another lawyer? And, you know, don't we have enough? Now, it's not a question about how many lawyers. Well, that's one critical question, but it's how good a lawyer and what do you do with the qualification, right? So what motivated me to study law was I looked at all the influence and the change that I can make in the world, right? And these are the great role models that I've used to inspire myself, right? So for example, all these characters in this slide are our law graduates, have obtained a law degree, and they have actually contributed not only to their own community but to the whole world. They've made an impact. They have had an influence in the thinking of the world, right? From very close to home, right? From home and around the region. You know, all these people are influential people, you know, from Mahatma Gandhi to Abdul Rahman to Abraham Lincoln to the late Lee Kuan Yew, Nelson Mandela, and you know, Hillary Clinton, our own Ambika Srinivasan, Michelle Obama, and Obama Barack, right? All these people have had a law degree that have helped influence the way they think and have contributed to how they have contributed to the community, all right? So this is a key factor here. So what we're going to look at is, so this is, I think, one very good inspiration or motivation for all of us who are thinking of doing a law degree, right? This is one inspiration for us, okay? Because again, like I said, it's not about just doing a degree, but what do you do with that qualification that you have, and how do you contribute, right, to your community, to your surrounding? So we're going to look at the study of law itself, right, what it encompasses, what it requires, and then we're going to look at actually the legal, the pathway after getting a law degree. Do you have to typically go to court? Do you have to be a lawyer? Some tell me, I'm not interested in going to court, right? But do we have to go to court, right? Or could we do alternative, right, careers? And some of them tell me, I'm interested in setting up my own business, to be an entrepreneur, right? Would this degree help me, right? So these are the things that we're going to actually explore today, right? So now, back to the golden question, right, which I asked earlier on, right? Why study law? Because it's one of the oldest noble profession. It's respectable and prestigious. You have access to influence, right? It's a stable profession, all right? You've got multitude of career options there, to go into a variety of field. It's like having an international passport, that you're able to actually venture into different careers, right? Maybe as a legal advisor, legal consultant, or at some shape or form, advice is required on what the organization or the business entity or the corporation can do or cannot do. All right. So they would need people to advise them on that, right? So there is a multitude of career options, right? It's a qualification that helps build your own self-confidence, all right? Because the skill sets that you learn throughout law school should equip you with that critical thinking, analytical thinking, all right? So in moving forward, law graduates, right, should be kind of people who, when they hear something, they just don't jump at it, but they kind of analyze and they reflect over what is being said, and they review it to see, hey, is this correct, is this right, is this wrong, right? So that is important, because the law degree helps build that kind of skill sets in you. All right. It provides you a strong foundation for further academic studies. Of course, if you want to go progress up to postgraduate level, do your master's in law, or even do a master's in MBA, right? It becomes very relevant, right? And it also gives you a qualification which is recognized globally, because the profession now has been liberalized in Malaysia, right? So it's actually open, and it's the one of the positives of the pandemic is that the world now has become smaller, because all of us are interacting with each other using, the technology, right? So we do cross-border works, right? So reaching out to any other country outside Malaysia is not impossible. All right. You don't need to do actual travel, but a lot of work is being conducted across the region globally, right? Through cross-border transactions, just at the comforts of your own zone. So the profession is able, so you are able, if there's an MNC company who wishes to set up some form of business or do some form of transaction, right? They can seek legal advice, right, from people who are qualified within this zone, to give them that necessary advice, on what needs to be done. So it's not impossible, right? So it is not impossible. A lot of things have been made possible, right? Or we were required to step into it really quick, right, because of the pandemic. But the pandemic has made it possible, made us realize that all these are possible cross-border transactions. Now, when you study law, it is also an intellectually challenging but highly rewarding, because it stimulates that thinking ability, right? It makes you think. When you look at something, like I said, if you say 2 plus 3 is 5, it makes me think, why is it 5? It makes me want to understand the rationale behind before I can accept, right? So it challenges you. So when something is being said, we don't accept wholesale, but we review and analyze and we compare, all right, and we evaluate, and then we decide whether it is acceptable or not acceptable, or can we come with better alternatives, all right? So it helps you to, it helps critical thinking, all right? So when you study law, it also offers a degree of opportunity to develop a range of skills. Like I said, building your self-confidence, the ability to communicate, the ability to interact, right? To review, to evaluate, not just to read, but to read between the lines and to analyze, right? All these opportunities, skill sets are being entrained while you're pursuing the degree, right? And then you are also able to explore many aspects of human life, from the corporate world to, individual human rights issue, right? To the environmental issue, right up to, even privacy policies, all this, a variety of scope it taps into. All right. So a study of law will give you a chance to sharpen your mind, strengthen your understanding, and deepen your experience, right? Across a full range of humanities and social science. So it's not just law is not just standalone by itself. It taps into every aspect of life. All right, so you get to explore. So there are people who love corporate work, but there are other group of people who say, no, I want to look at individual rights. I want to look at the rights of children. I want to look at the rights of indigenous people, right? I want to look at human rights, right? Equality. So there's lots of different aspects that we go into, right? And the world, the legal profession or the study of law has ventured into a variety of scope to include things, sports and law, psychology and law, right, medical and law. So it's tapped into all different areas, right? So it is a very vast, wide, enhanced profession. Now the pathway typically, right, to do to pursue a law degree is actually to obviously come with your SPM or O level. That's the starting point, right? And then you get into a pre-university qualification, maybe doing your STPM after your SPM, or pursuing an A levels qualification, or even pursuing IB, Australian matriculation, any form of matriculation, Canadian matriculation, right? Or even pursuing a valid, recognized foundation program, right? Will give you the pre-U qualification that you would need to enter into the degree. Now, the degree is the academic stage, right? So may it be whether you join into a private institution, private university, like University of Reading, or if you join the public university, then you've got different pathways there set up for you. If you join a public university, it's a 4-year degree, right? Because it encompasses the final year to include the practice year, right? The 3+1, the 3 years is your academic, and the 1 year is where your practice qualification comes in together, right? So you have the likes of University of Malaya and UKM and all in Malaysia. Likewise, if you go into a private university like Reading, right, you do the academic stage pathway, 3-year degree with Reading, and then you move on to do your practical year, right? The practical here is where it doesn't matter whether you want to practice or not. I would always advise students, just do that, get that additional qualification and keep it with you. It becomes useful when you choose to explore that area, right? If you don't want to use it, no big deal. You just got one additional qualification add on to you, right? So the practical stage is where we call the vocational stage, right? So in the vocational stage, you can either pursue the Certificate of Legal Practice course in Malaysia, right, which is run by the Legal Profession Qualifying Board, and you would do, or you could do the UK vocational practical pathway, which could include the Bar Professional Standards Board exam, the Bar Professional course, or could even be the Solicitors Regulatory Association's authorities, right? Their program, the legal practice course in the UK. So this is basically about 9 months program where you would do and get your professional certification. And once you've done that professional certification, so you've got that bit, and then you come to the professional stage. So this is where if you're going into practice area, you would need to do your pupillage or your chambering for a period of 9 months or a year, right? And then you get called to the bar, and then you go into the workforce as a full-fledged lawyer, all right? Alternatively, if you think the legal profession, right, the legal profession itself, going into courts and doing that sort of work is not your cup of tea, then you can always look at alternative careers here, all right, alternative career pathway. So so the pathway to get your academic qualification is complete your SPM and O-level successfully. Choose one of your pre-U qualification, which could range from STPM, A-levels, recognized foundation programs, all right, and other matriculation pathways, right? You could pick up and then come in to do your academic stage, right? If you do it at private university, it's a 3-year degree program, right? And then you would progress on, once you complete, then you progress on to the vocational stage where you would choose to do the degree in the UK. You could do the professional pathway in the UK, or you could choose to do the CLP in Malaysia, and then come out to the professional stage where you would do 1 year, 9 months of chambering, and then you would be qualified to go into the workforce. All right. If you omit the vocational stage, of course, after obtaining your degree, if you want to go so immediately. So that's the pathway to obtaining a law degree and becoming, going into careers. Now, moving on, right? So what do we offer at University of Reading Malaysia? We are the first and currently the only international branch campus. Oops, it's kind of moved too fast. Hold on, I'm trying to go backwards. 1 second. Okay, so we're the only currently the only international branch campus in Malaysia that's been granted the approvals to offer a full 3-year law degree in Malaysia. Now, what we offer in Malaysia is exactly the mirror program of the law program that runs in the University of Reading, UK. Right. Currently, our qualification is under provisional accreditation. We would undergo the process of going through a full accreditation next year. Our program has been recognized by the Bar Professional Standards for to pursue the BPC program, right? The bar course, and also by the Solicitor's regulatory authorities to pursue the legal practice course. So doing the full 3 years at University of Reading, Malaysia will still give you the recognition to pursue the bar or the LPC course in the UK. Now, with regards to whether we are recognized to do CLP, we are undergoing the accreditation process and will be engaging with the authorities to actually invite them to come and review the whole program, right? So that we could do the necessary to get the required recognition. Now, so it's a 3-year program that we offer. We offer exactly the same as the UK. What we offer here is a qualifying law degree, which will grant you access to do the professional practice pathways. Right, so this is what I just mentioned. Okay, so moving on. Right, so what are the USPs for our program? Right, we are the only international branch campus. That's the first one. We have got a very strong background with in legal research. Our home-based campus, right? Our colleagues in the UK are very involved in legal research. So our teaching is teaching informed by the latest research in the field, right? We inculcate holistic legal education in our program. So not only within classroom, but beyond classroom, there are a lot of activities which encourage critical thinking involving the legal profession or the study of law, right? We also have a special summer program for our students who are progressing from in the summer of year 2, where students are able to come in to do a special summer program, right? Optional for them. And we also actually have, like I said, recognition now, right? By the Bar Professional Standards and the Solicitors Regulatory Authorities, who have recognized our 3+0 to qualify our students, even though they do the full 3 years in Malaysia, to qualify our students to do the bar exams in the UK and to do the LPC course in the UK. All right, so these are our unique US selling points for Reading, Malaysia. Now, typically, so what is the study like for a law student? This is what the question that students say, oh, how does it feel like to be a law student? And students have asked me this. They were like, wow, Prof, you studied law, you must be very intelligent. Well, I like to think so, right? Thank you very much. But there are lots of lawyers out there and there are lots of law students out there. So the study of law, people as much as noble as we think, we think a lot of students feel that, oh, I've done very well, but can I cope with this? You know, that's one question that we ask, right? So there's a lot of this is just a meme, right? That we see, like people think, you know, what do law students do, right? This is just a little joke here, right? Now, the real study of law, people feel, oh, is there lots of reading? Is there lots of memory, you know, memorizing to do, right? All these bits are undeniable. A study of any qualification would require dedication, would require you to put in the time and effort. You know, nobody's going to just give you a qualification just because you paid for it, right? You have to put in the hard work to get the knowledge, to get the skill sets. So yes, it has reading. There is an extensive amount of reading to do, may it be case laws, articles, right? Journals, textbooks, right? There's a lot of reading research that we do because we want to be able to give the best sound of advice to your client, right? So you need that knowledge, definitely, because people are coming to you to seek for advice. So you need to be able to give them sound advice, right? And to give sound advice, you would need to have the required knowledge with you. Now, so that's one. So definitely there is work inside, but it's not unmanageable. If it's unmanageable and it's beyond thinking and nobody can comprehend, there would not be a lot of people pursuing this qualification, and there would not be a lot of already practicing lawyers and law graduates in this field. It's doable. So all your seniors have done it. It is doable. You just have to put in the dedication and the hard work, right? So yes, the workload, there is report writing, assignment writing, you do opinion writing, right? Case briefs, right? There is all this bit because it's part of the package, the part of the work that is involved. So the skill sets are being trained in law school, right? We do that in Reading. So we train you so that when you go out to the world, you're already ready to service the industry the minute you graduate. All right, we want our graduates to be industry ready graduates. That's important. Okay, now, what are the qualities then required for a law student? All right, so you think, do I have it? Do I have what it takes to do it? All right, good linguistic articulation, right? Ability to communicate, you're confident, you're a critical thinker, right? You have analytical and application skills, you've got logic and reasoning skills, right? You're able to absorb and synthesize, because it's not just about reading a lot of materials, but it's actually reading the materials, being able to dissect the materials, pick out key issues there, and try to read between the lines. Like I said, everybody can read the line, but trying to understand the hidden message between the line is the skill set you need, right? How do I have an alternative interpretation to what I'm reading? What is the message that I'm getting from it is very, very crucial. All right, and we have to you need to have good interpersonal skills, be hardworking, be diligent, right? Able to put in long working hours, right? And ability to work under pressure, because we all will have deadlines and due dates, right? And have good resilience, right? These are the skill sets which are required from a student. Now, obviously, a lot of us may not have this from the starting point, but if you're dedicated, right, and if you're motivated and you've got persistence that this is what I want to do, right, then when you come in the law school, these are the skill sets that you will get across in the 3 years of course of your studies. All right, so these are so by the time you graduate, you should have all these qualities with you. Okay, so as mentioned before, right, the previous element, right, as I said, how do you become an advocate and solicitor? So the first important point is the academic component. So students are here, no matter where you go and do a law degree, make sure you do a law degree, make sure you have the right qualification to do the law degree, to go, and whatever degree you do, it has to be a qualifying law degree for you to get the recognition by the professional bodies. All right, that is very important. So when in the academic component, it's not just about memorizing and just reproducing the work, but it's the ability to actually think. All right, so we do a lot of independent learning in Reading. We give a lot of guidance, right? We give students guidance, but we also train you to think. We don't spoon feed you, right, with suggested answers or a pack of Q&A questions, set out there for you. No, we guide the students on how to analyze, how to think, how to review, all right? So that, because when you go out to work, you're not going to get a ready-made case that comes to you. This is the case and this is a suggested solution. It's not going to be like that. You have to unpack the case, dissect it to understand what are the principles, what are the rules that you got to apply, and then you would actually use the right skill set to give the right advice. Right? So that is important. That skill set is important. The skill set to have, so that the graduate is able to understand, analyze, and apply the legal principles. All right. So this is the skill sets that you look at, and then make sure that your degree is a qualifying degree. It's recognized. Right. And once you've done your degree, you go into your skill-based training where you do either the BPTs, the bar professional course, or even now the legal practice course, or even the certificate in legal practice moving forward. And then you've got your pupillage journey there. All right. So where you look at the next stage, you allow future lawyers. So this is where you do chambering or pupillage under a master, right, in a legal firm. And then you learn the rules of the trade, the practical sides of it. And then you get qualified to the bar, you get called to the bar yourself, right? You get roped there, right? So this is the aspiration usually of, I know when a student is studying law, right? They always tend to get all excited and gung-ho about it, right? And then, when they come into the program, they realize, oh my God, there's so much of work. And then when they got into practice, they say, oh, what did I do this? Why did I spend all this time? Like I said earlier on, remember, over and over, right? What is important is your dedication and motivation to do the course. And then you've got to have an aspiration of what do you want to do after, right? Where is your contribution? So it's not just about going to office, coming back, doing a 9 to 5 job, doing drafting contracts and sale and purchase agreement, and you're just very happy with it, right? The profession grants you a lot of ability to contribute further into the community, to make your life and the community's life more meaningful. All right. So they become a lot more, you become a person who stands up for the underprivileged, for the affected, right? So you have for the impacted group of people. Yeah. So it becomes a lot more than just a typical contractual, earn my money and be happy, and just go to work 9 to 5. So, it can be a meaningful profession. Okay. Oops, hold on. Right. When I think my slides have a mind of their own. Right. Now, the Bachelor of Law degree, right, is a passport to give you access to a variety of careers. All right. So you can go typically into the legal practice, right? You can go into alternative careers in law, and you can also do a legal business entrepreneurship sector. And that's the key sector that's actually growing, right? That's actually growing, and that is where probably the future is going to be. Now, what are the alternative careers? So alternate to practice, what are the alternative careers that we can look at? All right. So these are the alternative careers that we can actually look at. All right. Where, from being arbitrators, mediators, judiciary, joining the banking sector, in-house legal advisor, right? Going to the insurance field, journalist, legal writer, or editor, right? All these are every sector, like I said, even the medical field, all right? Every sector needs some form of legal advice. So there is opportunity, HR, now intellectual property sectors, right? All these which are looking, even IT sectors, right? Because you want to look at whether there's infringement of privacy, what we're doing, is this right? Are we breaking any rules? So the career is actually very wide. So there are alternative careers for students, for law graduates to venture into other than going into legal practice. Now, if you ask a question, is this practice, is this for you, right? Then these are the key factors you have to ask yourself, right? Do you have a thirst for knowledge and a desire for continual learning? Are you detailed oriented? Yeah, because you've got, like I said, read between the lines, listen carefully, get the hidden message coming out, right? So you need to be meticulous in that sense, right? Are you good at analyzing situations and determining approaches, right? Do you thrive in a competitive environment? All right, so these are the key factors for you to ask actually. Right. What are the work style of a lawyer, right? The profession, right? The expectation, the working styles, right? Is you got to have good, excellent analytical skills, able to digest large amount of information, pick out essential points on how to make connections to how the law applies to each of these points, right? Have good organization skills and time management skills is crucial. Work as efficiently and effectively as possible on every case. That means every case you need to give your dedication there. All right, have good communication skills, make arguments in a clear and concise manner. Remember, as a legal profession, you know all the legal jargon, but when you're talking to the community or to the public out there, you can't be using those terminology. So being able to communicate in a manner that your listener understands is crucial also, right? You need to be dependable because, people, organizations, entities are relying on you to help support them. All right. You need to be dependable, honest, and ethical. And at the same time, you should be able to accept criticism and have high stress tolerance, right? I would say this is the expectation from the profession. What are the values that you get from here? You get value recognition, advancement, and potential for leadership because you are there advising. Your role is in the case of advising people. You're analyzing and you're giving input and advice, right? So people are looking up to you. People are looking up to you to actually get support, right? That is crucial. And they want to get support from you. So and if you give them reasonable, good advice, right? You become a valuable asset, right? A valuable contributor to the organization, to the person there, right? And what are the values you have also? You are able to work independently and make their own decisions. So you become, you are not easily influenced, right? Because you make your own mind, you make your own decision based on your understanding, your analysis. All right. So these are the key features of the profession. Okay. Now, right. The next question, next typical age-old question is, are there too many lawyers? Oops. Are there too many lawyers in town? All right. Are there too many law graduates or lawyers in town? That's the question here. Now, let's look at some statistics here. Okay. Now, this is from the Bar Standards Board, right? And this was based on data in 2020, where the UK is about 68 million people, right? And they have about 143,000 solicitors in practice, and they have about 16,000 barristers in practice. So 68 million, you have about, barristers are the ones who typically go to court, all right, and they have a right to go to court. Solicitors traditionally used to be the group of people who did all the paperwork, the administrative work, right? Because the profession in the UK is actually a divided profession. So they have barristers and solicitors. But in recent times, solicitors have been given right of audience in court, but for limited cases. The right of audience is still with the barristers actually. So for a population of 68 million, you've got about 17,000 barristers who are going to court, and you have about 140,000 plus solicitors who are doing more of the administrative paperwork related to the legal profession. Now, okay, so moving on. What about Malaysia? Right, in Malaysia, we have about 32.7 million population. And in total, we have about 20,000 lawyers in practice. In Malaysia, the profession is fused. So a lawyer, right, we call them advocate and solicitors. If you look at our legal firm titles, they're advocate and solicitors. They do both. They do both the conveyancing, all right, the administrative work, and they also do go to court, all right, the litigation work, right? So there is about 20,000 over lawyers there to serve a population of 32.7 million, all right? So in Singapore, right, we've got about 5.9 million population, all right, and they have about 6,000 practitioners. Okay, in Singapore, it's also a fused profession like Malaysia, and they have about 6,000 for a population of 6 million. We have 20,000 for a population of 32 million, right? So these statistics tend to show that there is still a lot of room for future graduates in this profession, all right? Because the work has diversified. It's not typical. It's not the same old, right? It's diversified. There are lot more new work, new areas to tap into, right? As technology grows, as we move forward, right? There are a lot of new areas to look at, to explore, right? As compared to 20 years back. So there is a lot of room for potential law graduates to come in. It's just a question of which area do you want to look at? Which area do you want to tap into? All right. So these are the key features for you to look at. Now, to a question of which area should I look into then? If I'm coming in to do a 3-year law degree is typical for everyone. All right, so everybody would do a qualifying law degree, a 3-year degree. But of course, what's interesting is what are the options given in that qualifying law? Because year 1, year 2, you would do core modules, fundamental modules, and then you start picking up your electives from a bit from year 2 and then more in year 3. So when you start looking at your electives, right, you can start exploring areas of your interest. What areas of interest do I want to look? Do I want to look at corporate law? Do I want to look at commercial law? Do I want to look at international rate? Do I want to look at medical law? Or do I want to look at international human rights law? Right? Do I want to look at competition law? Right? These are the key ones that you, key features. So you start thinking about it. You start thinking about which is your interest, area of interest, and you start exploring this. So when you start exploring your area of interest, right? Once you finish your degree, then you can tap further and go and major into the specific areas when you go into your postgraduate studies. All right, so while you go into your practice, and then if you want to further studies and enhance your skill set, you go into your postgraduate studies here. So basically, usually students would say, so what areas do I look at, right? What areas I look at is because I want to be marketable in the future. I want to be a very relevant law graduate for the industry 4.0. So how do I become a lawyer 4.0? What are the skills I need? All right. So these are the skill sets that you would need over and above. We keep talking about, I've been talking about critical thinking, good communication, being diligent, right? Having ethics. Over and above this, what additional skill sets would you need moving forward? And these additional skill sets would include things like client care, financial literacy, digital literacy, talent management, data driven. Basically, you need to be, you need to analyze data. A bit of data analytics would come in there, right? So collaboration skills. Basically, the legal profession is not going to work in silo anymore, right? It would be a profession which merges, partners, and collaborates with other industries, right? So you should have those mindsets already. You should have business innovative skill sets, right? To actually see, okay, where do I merge? What do I do, right? Because when you come, because the industry now, right, what the market needs now is basically they look for one-stop center. So they want to go for legal advice, but they don't want to go to many places to carry out the work. So the legal profession would be needed or required to give a comprehensive service to their clients, right? So this is important to look at because having the ability, you need to give legal advice, but over and above, right, you need to also support your client in all other areas so that your client can make sound decision based on the advice you've given. All right, so there is a variety, a further 4.0 skill sets that the students would need to acquire. All right. Now, moving forward, what would you need to be successful in the, from now onwards? And we can already see the profession is changing, is evolving, right? The the typical is not going to be the typical anymore, right? So yes, definitely there will still be practitioners, people going to court and everywhere, right? The default career going to court, being an attorney, right? It will be there, definitely, but that will not be the sole case. All right, you will need, the profession will require the graduates to leverage on legal skills, legal knowledge with other skill sets, other combination of skill sets there. So alternative careers would be a great option. There will be a big market for that already moving forward. All right. So to be successful, all right, in 2020, what would you need, for the legal profession, for a law graduate? All right, you need to provide holistic and impactful legal services. You need to protect the corporation, the enterprise, and collaborate with businesses, all right, to create value for your own business, for your own self. All right, you need to collaborate with other disciplines. So law is not just law by itself. We already see a lot of involvement in law and psychology, law and sports, law and medical, right? So there's a lot of involvement already going, the movement is already different. You would need to have the ability to use new tools, especially technology tools, right? Is very crucial. And you would need to be a graduate or a graduate who's able to create new paradigm, all right, to service your clients better. So your thinking would need to be a bit more holistic, right, going beyond just the legal sector, right? And you must be agile, and you must have the required skills to adapt to the fast change that's happening, that's going to happen. It's already happened, because of the COVID. It's fast forward our life by, I think, 5-10 years already. So we always talk about inculcating technology in our work. Yes, we have to do it, we keep saying that. But because of the pandemic, it's brought forward all this. We have no choice but to adopt and to adapt to the situation that we are in. So being agile is very crucial. All right. So these are the few, this is my briefing today, right, with regards to how, getting a law degree, right, up to what do you do with the degree, and moving forward, what kind of skill sets you should have. All right. So if you have any further queries, right, do contact us. All right, do contact us, and get in touch with us if you need further details or further counselings. I'll be happy to chat with any one of you. Right, over to you, Nishan.
Hi, Anne. Thank you very much for that very detailed presentation on the profession and what are the pathways that students can actually choose, as well as how do they develop professionally over the course of their studies, as well as when they go on to the job sector. I do see a few questions on the chat, and so let me just read them out to you. The first question is, of course, from Na Ling. So Na Ling, thank you for your question. And she asks, hi, Professor. If I graduated from UORM and later took the BPTC exam, would I be exempted from taking the CLP exam if I want to eventually practice in Malaysia? So that's the first question of the day, Anne.
Okay, so when you come to the vocational pathway, to the practice pathway, right, you would need to do one vocational course, either the CLP exams in Malaysia or the bar exams in the UK. So the bar exams in the UK, is recognized in Malaysia. So once you do the bar exams, you can return home to do your pupillage and your chambering in Malaysia. So it can be done instead of or in lieu of the CLP. So it's either CLP or the bar.
Awesome. So all Reading Malaysia graduates, including, I guess that wouldn't apply to the international students, right? And it's only for the Malaysian students.
The CLP is only open to Malaysian students, but the bar exams is open internationally and is recognized internationally. So international students can study at Reading Malaysia and pursue the bar in the UK, and of course subject to their home country regulations, all right, depending on which country they're from. Then they, it should be, there is a pathway for them to have a further career in their own country.
Awesome, and thank you for answering that. Now, moving on to the second question of the day, which is from Ms. Azura. Hi, Prof. Which A-level subjects should I choose? So that's the first of her two questions. And insight on that?
Okay, the study of law has got no specific requirements on which subjects you should get, all right? So I would always tell students, you have to do a minimum of 3 A levels, nothing less than 3 A levels, okay? You want to do 4, yay, good for you, but 2 is not a sound advice, all right? Because established credible institutions would want students to come in with 3 A levels, all right? So you need to do 3 A level subjects. And, and we do the typical subjects. So do subjects which are your strengths to get your 2 A's and a B to come to us, all right? So there are no specific subjects that is stated, but do subjects which can strengthen your own skills and can actually contribute in getting you the good grades. All right, that's what I would say. So, because I've got students who come in with economics, with English literature, with, maths, a combination they come in with. So do any of the 3 typical, don't do 2 creative subjects, all right? So, I mean, I know Malaysians are very good, the law students they tend to do the normal subjects, as they say, all right? And that is recognized, and do the ones which are your strengths so that you can get very good grades to come in, right? And that's important.
Awesome, and thank you for
So
explaining
remember,
on that.
minimum three, yeah. Do 3 A levels and do your best, which can bring out your own skills, your own abilities for you to score in the paper.
Awesome advice, and thank you for that. Moving on to the third question of the day, also from Ms. Azura. Prof, my second question is what's the difference between a solicitor and a barrister?
Okay. As mentioned, in the UK, the profession is a divided profession. All right. So typically, barristers were the ones who went to court, and solicitors were the ones who did all the administrative paperwork, like drafting of contracts and all counseling of clients. And barristers are the ones who went to court to do litigation and fight the cases, right? But in recent times, solicitors have been given the right of audience in some I wouldn't say easier cases, but in some, certain level of right of audience have been given to solicitors to make representation in court. But in Malaysia, we don't have the difference between barrister and solicitor. Our lawyers in Malaysia are advocates where they do both set of work. All right, they do the administrative and they also do the going to court kind of work, right? So it's a fused profession in Malaysia.
Thank you, Anne. I just begs the question again. Is that why you said that lawyers need a high level of stress tolerance? Is that more specific for Malaysian lawyers, or is that applicable to all lawyers around the world?
No, I think it's true. I think it's throughout the world, because the legal profession, if you think about it, you're actually giving advice to people. When you give advice, means there are some issues, there are some problems, there are some concerns coming up towards you. So you tend to be the person who is accountable to give some kind of sense of direction. So, you're put in a responsible position. So when you're put in a responsible position, sometimes there's all of us, there's no exactly this is right or this is wrong, but it's based on your influence, your understanding, on your reading, right? So you got to do that work. You got to do that because you are going to guide someone on what needs to be done. So I think that stress level is always there because you're taking responsibility for someone else. All right, and then of course, meeting deadlines, meeting due dates, and some profession, for example, if you're doing a criminal trial, and if it's a very serious trial, and you've got somebody there with with a very severe penalty, where so your responsibility for that person is very high, isn't it? So whether your client is going to lose money, or they're going to lose, go to jail because of your, so we don't want inefficient law graduates or lawyers down there, right? We want people who care for their clients, who do the right piece of work, right? So that takes, sometimes the requirement is to go the extra mile, right? Because you have got people's lives at stake there, relying on you. So I would say we're not doctors, but we're a little bit there. All right. So because we've got lots of people, I mean, whoever's coming to you for advice is going to act on your advice given. So we've got to say and do the right thing for them. So that, to do the right thing, to say the right thing, you've got to put the right amount of work. All right. It's not just my hunch, I feel, right? It has to substantiated be with evidence, with proof, with enough reading and research to say, why are you deciding like this, or why are you advising like this? So you back yourself up for your decision, for the guidance that is given.
Understood, and thanks a lot. So yes, that is a huge responsibility, and I guess every profession, including law, will have some level of stress to deal with. So moving on, and to next question from Xiao Shung. Thank you for the question, Xiao Shung. Can I apply for Pdbtn loan for the law program? And if I want to transfer to UK in third year, can I answer this end?
Yes, please, Nishan.
Yeah, so Xiao Shung, thanks for the question. You can actually apply for Pdbtn loan when you are in the degree program. Of course, how much is being approved is the jurisdiction of Pdbtn, but you can apply for that. And you are also able to transfer to the UK in either the second year or the third year. So you can choose to do that when you are a student here in University of Reading, Malaysia. And anything to add on with the mobility options for students?
Okay, the law program at Reading Malaysia has got very flexible mobility. So you can choose to do all 3 years in Malaysia, or you can choose to opt to go any part of the year. So if you want to go on the third year, right, yes, you can do so. There are no restrictions to it for us, right? So you are able to finish 2 years in Malaysia, go your third year there, or you can even do 1 year Malaysia, 1 year UK, 1 year Malaysia, come back. Because we are not a twinning or a transfer program. We are not a twinning or a transfer institution. We are the university. So basically, you're our student already. You're just choosing which location to study, right? So you're already with us. You just choose whether you want to study with our White Knight campus in the UK, or our Malaysian campus in Malaysia. All right, that's the only difference. So there is flexibility for students to do that.
Awesome, and thank you. We've got more questions coming in actually. How do I get legal work experience as an LLB student at University of Reading, Malaysia?
During the program. If it's during the program,
Yep.
We encourage students to do work during summer term. All right. So we do bring industry experts in. We introduce to our students, and then of course the networking allows students who are diligent to actually apply for placement or internship opportunities during summer break. When we come to the third year, we actually have a module which students can elect, right? And that module requires students to do placement and internship during the course of their studies, right? They have to do about 90 to 100 hours of placement and produce a report. So in that bit, of course, part of the training is for the students to actually acquire, to have the ability to source for the right employer, and to apply for the job, for the opportunity with the organization, to actually discuss, right, and to actually negotiate to get the job. But as an institution, we do give the students the link, the connections, right? We create the opportunity for the connections. And when students are going in for or going to apply for the placement and internship, we do give all the backing of, okay, let's review your resume, let's see, give you some mock interview exercises so you don't go and mess up the interviews there, right? We do give all that support, right? Likewise, in-house also, we actually have a legal clinic concept where we give in-house training, right, to our students. Now, that has been on hold for the moment because of the pandemic scenario, right? But in a typical scenario, we have a legal clinic where students will be supported by their academics to give to be trained to actually manage a legal firm. We've got a legal firm set up in the university where students are actually scheduled. They have given a rota on who's going to office on what day, and they would go in and do the 9 to 5 kind of job and do the paperwork and administrative work. We start the training in-house. But again, like I mentioned, all this had to come to a little halt because of the pandemic, but we hope to resume back to normal scenario, right? Once we can all go back to campus physically, right? Students are also given kind of research paper, all right? So there is a research credit modules where they actually do a study or research in a particular area that can actually contribute, right, to a certain needs of any legal organizations who are seeking, they need more clarity on certain scope of work or certain area, right? So our students can help do that. So there is variety of options from actually doing real physical placement work, right? And also we need to be, again, like I said, agile and creative in the current situation, because we are under a lot of MCO, CMCO, movement control orders, a lot of restrictions on how many staffing can be in the office. So with that, placements does become an issue a little bit, but employers are seeking for students to actually do, they need students to do research for them. They need students to do, they've got a case and they need students to help them conduct certain research in that specific area, to prepare an opinion or, to research paper to contribute to their legal work, right? So all that is actually ongoing. So there are a variety of opportunities. The university will introduce you to those opportunities, but it's actually the individual student's initiative to take the first step forward, because not everybody wants to move from their comfort zone and go and do placements in this pandemic scenario, all right? Because it's not easy. It becomes, quite a lot of restrictions are imposed. So
Yes.
so the students also, so we bring the students, we give them the opportunity, but we also encourage them a lot. And if students who are keen, we provide them with the background and the support and the training. So we've actually done trainings for our students on CV writing, on how to attend interviews. All these elements was done to support should a student wish to go and do those internships and placements during their course of studies.
Awesome, man. Thank you for answering that. We've got another question, which is about the degree qualification that they get, whereby can someone become a lawyer with a second, lower, or a third class? I believe they're referring to the grades achieved in the undergraduate degree. So what is the requirement there? And is there a limitation for
Okay.
these students?
Okay, the classification, all right? So firstly, I say you have to get a qualifying law degree. That's the first step, all right? Then, of course, what classification you get would also uh, indicate where you can actually pursue your vocational training, all right? So
Okay.
if you're going into, say, for example, if you want to do the bar exams have typically said they favor first class or second class upper, of course, but second class lower, right? Students with second class lower, and you've got to write character reference and all these bits, and students do get to go in. So it's an application to the bar, right?
Okay.
For the CLP, there's I think right up to, if I'm not wrong, all right, is actually right up to you third class, I think, is recognized for CLP purposes. All right, so yeah, so their classification does matter. if you want to pursue the professional vocational stage, right, or the vocational courses.
Awesome, and thank you. And also, there is a question here from Kelly. Thank you for the question, Kelly. Now, I want to be a civil servant in Malaysia. I'm looking forward to doing the law degree, but I'm not interested to be a lawyer. So, the question is, can students not take the law exam like CLP after they graduate from URM?
I'm pretty sure the civil service will be very happy to welcome you into the service, right? Because we don't get many people actually saying that these days now, you know. But it's a very good organization to be, because it's a very stable organization. I think, you know, the government service will be a very stable organization. Again, depends on which sector you join. All
Okay.
right, depends on which sector you join, right? When you say civil service, you're talking about joining the judiciary, or is it joining just the civil service itself, right? It's so it depends on what kind of work are you going in to do. All right. So what kind of work? If you're going to join the judiciary, then there is expectation, you know, for you to have, because the CLP gives you the training for the professional practice part. So if you're joining the judiciary and you want to become a prosecutor, then you would need those skill sets, right? But if you're joining the civil service in other sectors, like a foreign affairs department, or, you know, in the LHDN, in the Inland Revenue Department, right? Then that's a different skill sets that are needed. So it all depends on which division you want to enter in, right? So there, it is possible, but again, you need to explore further there to
All
see the
right.
requirements of the particular decision.
That's awesome, Anne. Also, final question. How does the legal clinic in URM function?
Okay, like I said, the legal clinic has come to a temporary halt at this point of time. But the
Yes.
plan for the legal clinic is, right, students from not in year one, because year one you literally have zilch knowledge, right? Uh, but in from year two, students are supposed to be able to give some brief advice to the community of the university, all right, on minor issues, not too technical, again, because our law students are not fully graduate and qualified yet to give too technical too technical advice counselings. So we plan moving forward, again, like I said, you know, this one whole year, it's kind of put everything on a standstill, but we plan to engage with our local bar committee, all right? And then we've got the academic support also, where students, if they have simple minor issues like landlord tenant advisory, right, they can come in to ask advice from the students. All right, again, it's a non-binding, I have to say, it's a non-binding. It's giving training to the students to review cases, to read between the lines, to review contracts, review documents. But again, I said it's whether, you know, you've got a valid case, whether, you know, it's not just based on emotional, oh yeah, the landlord should not throw you out of your house, but basically it's whether you have a valid case based on the
Okay.
facts of the case, whether there's any legal backing, right? So now these students would do this work while they are being chaperoned by the academics, right? So academics also will be stationed on a rota there, right, to support. Moving forward, we want to engage with the Johor Bar, where they can actually also include our students into this kind of work, where they can also give guidance, right, to our students. Like I said, the legal clinic started but had a very short-lived life, right? And it's temporary, not functioning for the moment, all right?
Right.
Until we're able to go back to a bit more of a normal routine.
Thank you, Anne. We've actually managed to answer all the questions that have been posted. And yes, thank you very much for the detailed explanation and your patient answering for all the questions that were posted on the chat. Also, we would like to inform the viewers that we will be having more of these YouTube sessions in the next couple of weeks. Next weekend, we will be discussing about the accounting profession instead, with Dr. Evelita, which is the head of the accounting program. And please do tune in at the same time, same place at 11 a.m. on Saturday for more insight on the accounting program. And Associate Professor Anne Vergis, thank you very much for your time. And we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.